been kind of missing in action, doing a lot of different things, but I'm back. And it's time to get our glam on because we have a new palette. You know what it is, right? You're always able to find just the perfect little palette for sale that's just adorable and ready for you to test it out and see what it has for you. It's such an important time, you know, in terms of the business and Hollywood, that there are, you know, opportunities, there's time to do different things, and working on our makeup is certainly one of the most crucial things that we can do just to kind of get ourselves prepped and ready to be professional and look professional. We do have a little bit of NYX Bear With Me concealer on in the shade medium, and we did that earlier when we were making some content on a different platform. But you know, we love to get into the Art Naturals Soleil Mineral Water Cooling Spray, right? Just for a little moisture. It's not even setting spray, no alcohol, nothing of that sort, but just a little something to get us ready to receive, right? It's like when we eat, we're ready to receive the food. When we're ready to do makeup, we've got our cute top on and a little tiny bit of jewelry, right? It's exciting to keep on top of whatever issues we are following out there in the world. This is the Black Radiance palest shade of concealer, and I've been actually using it kind of as concealer and complexion product. Once I put it on, I'm like, that'll do. Let's see what you think. But it is their palest shade, you know, just like non-POC brands don't necessarily exclude people of color. The people of color brands don't necessarily, you know, if you're my complexion, if you're a medium in mainstream makeup, I guess I'll put it like that, then have a look. Black Radiance might have a powder or a complexion product that will work for you. But it has been, you know, a day of exciting news from Washington for sure. I'm shocked to see more of former President Trump's allies flip and testify. And I have no way of knowing whether that is intentionally or under duress. Let's go in with this flat white corrector from our friends at, is this LA Girl? Pro Conceal, yes, but what is the brand? Am I hallucinating, or can I not see the name of the brand on this container? I want to say LA Girl. There's nothing on here that says LA Girl. It says Beauty 21 Cosmetics. I'm guessing this is LA Girl Pro Conceal. But, oh yeah, see, it's because the letters are white. It is LA Girl. Duh. I know I get so shook when I'm on here making content. But I'm doing it, right? That's the thing. We have to discipline ourselves to, no matter what, get it done. And that's often half the battle. There are, you know, there's always other things to do. I'm in the middle of an application process for kind of a scientific endeavor. And, you know, it's interesting. Like, I'm collaborating with a few people, but I end up doing all of it myself. And sometimes I'm like, oh, sure would be great if people would help me answer these questions. Sure would be great if there were, I don't know, more hands on deck. But I'm sure everyone has their hands full. Just like, you know, just like me in this pale, pale, pale concealer. Should we put a little by the corner of the nose? It's white, so we don't want to go completely nuts. But it does give you a powerful highlight. That is for sure. Right? If you're concerned about your chin looking weak, add a little white paint to it. It'll be more evident, prominent, wider, whiter. And that might, that might help you do what you need to do in the world of beauty. But certainly the news out of Boston has been freakish, right? Why? I know the issue is that people think that when they do bad things, they're never going to get caught. But, I'm sure this lawyer who's alleged to have done naughty things thought, 15 years, I'm in the clear. And we know that not all the people who do things of that nature get caught eventually, ever, etc. And then it becomes difficult for people to want to come forward into a court procedure. But I haven't seen any updates today, but I'm sure things are going to work out in a way that will at least give some pause to people who want to, get away with stuff with people. It is the essential narcissist move to make a choice to, inflict that kind of violence and suffering on other people. Is it, I don't know, can you ever really atone? That is a question. But, I certainly feel enlightened to know about how and how they tracked him down eventually. There were, I'm sure, many nights and years when the victims, questioned everything, and things come full circle. So this is us all highlit. Should we take a moment and contour? We haven't really been doing that. We've been hurrying and getting into our eyeshadow, but we do have several different shades, and this is the darkest one. This is the Lip Bar, and it is a Minute Finish 4-in-1 face palette. These are the deepest shades that I have. I believe there are 5 or 6 of these. I got 3. This is Squad Goals. The face color is Day One. It's way dark for me. Blush is Wing Woman. Highlighter is Go Getter. Contour is Bestie. We're gonna see what it can do for us. Should we go in with a cream product first and then powder with this? Delicious. It almost gives the feeling of stained glass. That is deep. Ooh. A cream product first. Is that what you're telling me? Well, luckily we do have all of these contour products from our friends at Milani, and I love these. I've never tried the expensive Charlotte Tilbury that people complain is half empty, but boy am I excited for this one. I love learning about makeup and being able to at least try to do it on my own. It was kind of necessity for a while there at work, but now I just feel empowered by knowing kind of what to do. I'm not saying I'm the best. I am saying I'm much better than I. If you want to laugh, you have to see what I thought of as acceptable. Like, I was like, oh, I'm done. I have eyeshadow. I have makeup. Done. I did not, I just didn't know about the levels to it. I really was in the dark, and it meant I had no taste and no control when it came to like makeup artists doing things on my face. I remember the first time someone contoured my cheekbones and I was like, what are you doing? I had literally no idea. Had never, as much as I grew up reading fashion magazines, whenever I got my hands on them, like Vogue or whatever, it was never like, oh, let me be educated about these processes. I've obviously had people do my makeup in New York, in LA, but I just didn't ever know or have a taste or an authority about it. And it's just hypnotizing to me. I love to watch tutorials on whatever platform. I always feel like there's something that I can learn, right? As much as I've loved when I've seen people do red eye looks, when I've seen people on different shows have red eye looks, you know, I feel like red eyeliner is like, ooh, a lot. But then I see people do entire, like red all over the eye, red all over the cheek, red all over the lip. And it's like, it starts looking like kind of hollow, a little bit Halloween. It's not for what do you call it? An editorial look. But if you're going to a party with a full face of red makeup, that seems, what is it? Everybody's so creative. Like, I get it, but I kind of don't. I'm just using this flat brush to contour the sides of my forehead. This little divot under the nose. Maybe draw a couple of lines on the nose. This shade is Cocoa, but it is, you can kind of use it in thin layers so it doesn't look so deep and dark. You can get it, you can build it to deep and dark, or you can, you know, apply it deep and dark. But we're trying to take some length off the nose and then draw a little button nose line across the nose. And it is weird, like you do it, there's some parts of contour that work better than others. When people make the whole big brown stripe down the nose, to me it doesn't look convincing. But from watching Asian people do their makeup on a different platform, I do know that I like the two kind of semicircles here and kind of growing that contour out of the brow. I do like that. I feel like that gives your makeup kind of like a regal kind of definition, and just trying to smooth that out and make it even. Try to not exactly blend it, but just make it even so it's not like dark here and light there. You really want your contour on your cheekbone to show, and blend that up. What I like about this product is that it does stay mobile even after you apply it. It's not like, oh, the mistake that I can't do anything about. Some on the jaw. Right? Are we reducing the size of the face? Are we eliminating a double chin? We're back exercising, if you can believe that. You know, but we're trying to just navigate this Hollywood strike world. And, you know, not, things have become, you know, whatever, controversial, unpredictable. There's a lot of people spending time on the picket lines. But it's also interesting to, you know, see people taking it as like a social moment. Like they really are like, oh, you know, come to the picket line. You could meet someone cute. Come to the, it seems like, no, shouldn't you be like, you know, super serious about it? But honestly, that is part of what was going on during the BLM protests. It was like people scoping people out, you know. It, you know, everyone's human. So our eyes are primed, we are highlit, and we are contoured, right? I'm trying to discipline myself not to keep taking my contour and blush all low on the face. I do believe that that kind of compromises the sculpt when it's just all down the face, all kinds of heavy layers, building up and emphasizing skin texture. But these are the lines that I've come to like. Anything left, we can start to build some structure in the eyelid, right? Leaving the brow bone there, and getting into a guide for eyeliner. I did see someone take a line from under the eye up to meet somewhere in the eyeliner shape. Do we have enough left on our brush to do the same thing? Let's see. We know we're gonna keep that brow bone bare, right? We're just trying to map out a little shape, right? And doing makeup, you're taking some amount of contour. It's almost like that Marilyn Monroe type shadow under the eye that's supposed to emphasize the fat under the eye. That's what it is. And take one more look at just how deep of a tone you've achieved with your contour. Making sure you're kind of evening it out at the jaw, erasing all of the delicious Haagen-Dazs, which is owned by Dryers, funnily enough. You know, I know corporations change hands, but I was surprised by that. So, if this is where we are, it does seem like we need to go over it with some kind of complexion product because of our contouring. We hadn't done that on other days, so this is a nice light one. It's the Neutrogena Sensitive Skin Serum Foundation. I do believe it's a little bit cool for my complexion, but let's rock. It does come with a nice little eyedropper. But I'm just trying to be regular about my posts here on the YouTube, you know, getting ready for what's gonna come, right? It's going to be an interesting time. Now, we can also, before we get on our complexion product, underpaint with this Dr. Perricone product. We're very concerned because the cap is cracked. We're just trying to, you know, use it up. Use it up, wear it out, make it do, or do without, right? We have it, we might as well use it. We have it. It's got a nice color of blush. We want to apply enough of it that it's going to show through a thin layer of complexion product. But yeah, the fella that was doing all that red makeup, he was saying, oh, it's great to use a liquid, I guess it was some kind of like liquid eyeshadow, and it was super red, and he put all this liquid red all over the lid, and then there was all this cheek color, and it was a hell of a lot. I was like, wow, you really went all out with that. And it looked great. It just didn't look, purposeful. It just seemed a little kitchen sinky, like, wow, was that sponsored? Did you have to use all the red all at once? Like, you couldn't just let it kind of live in one place on the eyes or on the lips, or two of the three, but you went, it was kind of a lot. Anyway, this is our underpainting, right? Not super thick lines all over the place, but definitely blush that looks like blush and is in the blush places. We've even gotten it on the temple, at the tip of the forehead, right? From here, we don't want it to lift, so we shouldn't wet it down again. But using the same silicone sponge, getting it on our sponge, and just very strategically dotting it on the face, trying to create a thin layer over our underpainting so that it doesn't look so obviously paint by the numbers. Done? Not done. A thin layer, right? The people that drip the whole half the bottle on the face, it's definitely one way to go. I just don't think that that amount of makeup ever looks desirable, I'll put it like that, in professional settings. If it is not your job, to wear and sell makeup than having that much makeup on that's super clockable in the daylight. It makes you look, it looks like too much. I'm not gonna lie to you. It looks like, you know, what are you trying to hide? What are you trying to prove? And indeed, people who do have like skin issues, I have colleagues I didn't really know that, you know, they had that much texture on their skin, that much acne on their skin, because they were just very religious about always wearing makeup and primer and things that kind of covered that up. And I understand, but on a certain level, you shouldn't really care that much what your colleagues think of you, right? It's just work. If you're not on camera, let your skin breathe. So what? People are out here with, you know, teardrop shaped bellies. They're not concerned, right? I think there's a lot of pressure on women to be some sort of optimal version of themselves. And, you know, makeup can help, but, you know, I'd rather people have fun with their makeup than feel pressure about their makeup. Like, oh, I can't go anywhere with a full face on. Like, what is it? The femininity gurus that are always like, wear a full face of makeup to the grocery store. And it's like, you know, I don't want to come home from the grocery store with anything but groceries. You know, in this neighborhood, believe me, you're not going to meet, you're not going to see or meet anyone worthwhile at the grocery store. And you probably would prefer that no one in the grocery store takes a shine to you. Not in the parking lot, not inside the store. I mean, we're underpainted, but it's, you know, I feel like we've lost the color. But again, you want to just experience which layering works for you. That is the question, right? More light. Boo, there I am. Should we take a moment and add a lip liner? Just so that we're Line Loud by Rebel Kind. I refuse to sharpen it. It's down to the quick, but there's still product. And I like a pretty blunt line sometimes. Right, that's the artistry of it, that you can make any of it work. You can be, you know, an artist with your eyes open. So much fullness to be achieved with lip liner. Even if you're not overpainting the top of your lip, if you're just kind of bowing it out to the sides, kind of, if you know the Lucille Ball lip shape. And lately I've gotten into using the end of the lip liner just to blur, perfect, and tap in that line. Where were we as a society before all this brown lip liner? I remember all those other colors, you know, unless you're really just wearing one of those colors on purpose. If you have a lick of melanin, brown is going to be such a flattering edge and base for your lip color. And even on its own, it looks conservative, but prominent, right? It makes your lip shape stand out, but then you're not, you know, you don't have to do a lot to bring your appearance to perfection. Now, this is a product we tried the other day and we kind of dug it. Uh-oh. The majority of it is stuck in the tube. What's going on, Physicians Formula? Oof. Should we use it or should we? I guess we should have some sort of rescue of the product that's inside. No, we're gonna have to work on that another day. I was just praising this for being so great because it's such a solidly sealed product, but you know, Things don't last forever. What else can we use? Here is a different Physicians Formula product, Muru Butter, SPF 15 in the shade, soaking up the sun. And I'm always surprised when any of these products work for me. I feel like this is a paler person's product line. And maybe I'm just at the edge of being able to get value from their products, right? A glossy, comfortable, delicious smelling gloss. You know, I'm just making an effort to kind of like look at my stash, pull it all out, add a little water to your silicone sponge, tap out any blotches or anything that's not blended well. But you know, pull it out, evaluate it, assemble it, make an effort to try it. If it doesn't work, get rid of it, donate it, or, you know, leave it outside for people. I mean, I think it's amazing when people have sneakers. There's been a pair of Acne Studios kind of like casual slip-on shoes at the corner of the block for a couple of days, you know, waiting for someone to come along who might want them. They are designer, and they're very well worn, but we do have a lot of people in Hollywood who are running around with no shoes on. Is that by preference? Did they lose their shoes? Would they rather not spend a couple of dollars at the thrift store to get a shoe? No one knows, but certainly we know as fellow human beings, you need a shoe. You do. Just from a cleanliness point of view, all sorts of glass on the ground. You don't want to risk it all. So if there's something that's still usable, you can leave it outside for the folks. Now, if this is the palette we're going to get into for complexion, and if this is the lip combo, I don't hate that at all. And do I have the option to take a photo? I can save a highlight. Highlight saved. Interesting. What are all the bells and whistles here? I should explore more, but we've already been on for half an hour. We gotta hurry. What should we use as a neutral here? W7. I hate to go high-low, but let's do it anyway. We certainly have enough neutral shades in this big-ass palette. W7, you gonna get your money's worth, right? Miss PatMcGrath is gonna charge you a grip. But this is going to be an epic number of eyeshadows. And I really respect people who really do get through their shadows. They spend the time. You see them use up their shadows. Let's get into this kind of pale peach color to set the eye area. It is called Summer, very appropriate. But respecting the architecture that we tried to lay down, we're just gonna tap this in. I did see an artist on a different platform talk about the fact that, you know, for so long people would talk about making those kind of small circle shapes with their eyeshadow brushes, and I've never found that comfortable or effective. I'm much more of a, you know, tap and lay it down, tap and lay it down. And this is such a pretty palette. It just, I hope you can see, it is giving the most subtle and beautiful pink. I'm so surprised when I get color payoff from inexpensive products that are pale on my skin. You know, I always thought eyeshadow has to come in a color and be, you know, kind of an alarming, an alarmingly not skin-like shade, but this is so pretty, even on its own, right? If you were in a rush or you were wearing like business attire, if you just took this around your whole eye, you would look, your face would look dressed, right? This is nicer than that, but this helps this color pay off, right? And that's the lesson of, you know, color theory, right? When I was younger, I always thought, oh, your makeup should exactly match your skin tone. Well, then you don't have anywhere to go. You don't have any, you can't restore dimension. You can't really add color. If everything is the same tone and everything's going to marry with your skin tone, whether you're, you know, super dark or super pale, it compromises your ability to get color payoff. And I really learned that looking at, you know, when Nicki Minaj would wear all those pastel lip colors and a lot of bright colors for hair, how there was a kind of like cancel out your skin tone so you can build the bright on top of your skin, right? Those layers make sense, but you know, endlessly drizzling makeup on your face, you know, like you're an ice cream sundae. I don't know. Maybe I'll get there one day. I'll be like, well, were those old challenges on YouTube, like 20 layers of foundation? I mixed all my foundation colors together and saw what I got. The eyes are looking very small. Love you so much, W7. Beautiful tones of fuchsia and purple in this palette. But we've been turning to our Rockstar, this PatMcGrath palette. The criticism is that it doesn't have a lot of transition shades. This pink on its own is gorgeous. Now, if we take a moment before we get into that and put a layer of this, again, just because we're trying to use it up, this Dr. Perricone blush back into our dish, right? We're just trying to empty out this container. And this is the stuff that won't pour out, but I like the color so much, I would consider repurchasing once this is all gone, because I haven't been disappointed, right? I hear the people talking about Rare Beauty, and I hear them talking about all sorts of different cream and liquid blushes, but you know, for the price and just the idea that you're clearing your stash, you've already got this product, you just have to put it into action, then that is a very solid kind of reason to integrate it into your makeup. I'm not a nose tip blusher, but I am a chin blusher, right? I brighten the chin and now I'm blushing it. Will I look like I've gone for a run? That's supposed to be what it is. It's a flush that sets off your bone structure, a flush that says healthy, happy, exercising person. That same flush that you get when you experience certain forms of pleasure. Pink. Now there's some sort of day, I don't know if I've missed it. There have been people posting on another platform about there being a day where Black women around the country wear pink. I'm not even sure why. There's been a lot of discussions about people boycotting or not buying anything on the first of the month. I never am clear about what the advocacy is, and honestly, I've been so caught up with my own life that I haven't, you know, I just haven't gotten into it. I haven't like been like, oh my God, super priority. I gotta think about, I gotta know what is being boycotted or protesting. Forgive me, it hasn't been my thing. So from here, do we want to use the same brush to build a fake transition color? If we set with pink, then we could go in and use something to create a crease. There is a deep kind of rust color. Let's see what we can do if we just tuck it right into that fattiest part of our lid. This is the part of the sculpt of the eyelid that I really love about eyeshadow. And just being very gentle and intentional It almost mimics the shape and the lift you might get from lashes. You're very carefully adding color that just scoops right under that lid, gets into the crease a bit, but this may not be the same as our outer V color. As I learned from making that navy blue mess yesterday, the weight and the depth that I need here may not be the same as what I use to emphasize the actual lid of the eye, right? And you know, what I liked about the tutorials I watched today, they were talking about small strokes and time. Smaller brushes being better and not trying to kind of like paint in a hurry. It is about light layers, or it can be. I mean, there's different kinds of makeup, right? If you were performing in Vegas on the stage, just using a little water on our silicone sponge to work on any splotchiness or edges, but we want to do the same kind of lifted breath of, is it a maroon? Is it a rust? And then we can turn our brush to the side just to get a little bit of a fatter line. But using our mirror and our mirrors just to think about symmetry, right? Say you're in a meeting with new colleagues. They're getting to know you. They don't know what to think. But having educated yourself on your palette, maybe, you know, you have a moment to groom yourself before the day starts, before the Zoom starts, before you have to make a work post to social media, right? Getting your makeup right. There's certain people who are on some of the news and analysis shows who I always really thought about the fact that, like, oh, this person took the time to, you know, whatever, put on a shirt, put on an outfit, but also do a bit of makeup that is grown woman makeup, right? That's different than the whatever show doing your makeup, because you might be a little more expressive with it than the in-house makeup person, right? It could be, I don't know, I think it's an extension of your authority as a person. I won't just say as a woman, but as a person, for you to be on point with your aesthetic choices, right? I made a choice to be in this shirt, not a t-shirt, not a tank top, right? This earring, this lip combo, right? This somewhat pale concealer, somewhat pale eyeshadow, but now going in with color and trying to be strategic about it so that we don't mess up our makeup. Now, can we play with the same brush? Should we get into a purple? Little corner, outer corner of purple right on the lid. Is this the right brush? It might be too fat. But honestly, when I sample palettes in the morning before I go like work out or something, I always do it with just one brush because I just want to see what it looks like. PatMcGrath, have to respect her. It makes me curious about Natasha Denona. From the name, I did not assume that Natasha Denona was a woman of color. And I think, in fact, she is not. Danessa Myricks is a woman of color, right? See that subtle emphasis, just a tiny bit of purple right there in the corner. We can build it up just above the crease of the eye so it's a little bit more visible, a little bit more lifted. But, you know, try to hold your brush at the tip and make tiny bits of buildable color intentionally lifted and following the map in your mind's eye until you achieve what it is that you want to achieve, right? Outer corner just above the crease so it's visible, blending it out toward the tail end of the brow. Look at me doing it, right? So much better. than this one that doesn't have the same level of adornment, right? We don't have to just deal with neutrals, but neutrals are such a great place to start as a kind of building block of the look. And if you just went in with neutral, or you just went in with bronzer, that would be enough to sculpt. But then for evening, for a particular outfit, to kind of test your skill, to kind of like, you know how people spend a number of hours playing a video game? I feel like makeup palettes are the same thing, right? This is on some level a video game, because it delivers satisfaction, it has playability, you can pair it with other palettes. Whenever I would see Jackie Aina talk about, I'm going to go into this palette and grab this color, I was like, wow, who knew that was allowed? I'm the sort of person, I just thought you had to use what was in the palette. Like, it was designed so that that's what you had to do. Fool that I was. But, you know, you watch, you learn. Just trying to have the same weight of purple on both eyes. Small layers, light blending, purple in the right spot. And now we can make a choice to go in with an eyeliner. But I quite like that gradient, and of course we can add an exciting shimmer to the inner corner, right? Pinch this brush, maybe take it a little bit under the eye. Same on this end. Light washes of color, so it looks like you know what you're doing. When this lip color wears off, it's gonna look spectacular. Do we want a colorful shimmer? Do we want a gold or a peach or a pink? Maybe we should go with this palest shimmer just to see what it do, right? Tap it on that inner lid. It's very fine. Let's give it another go. Tap it on that inner lid, so you're getting the inner corner, but you're also kissing it onto that kind of circle that lays under your nose contour, right? So that it kind of creates a, ooh, on the skin this looks more silver than it does in the pan. In the pan it looks beige, but on the skin it's kind of giving silver and super bright. What a surprise. It just surprisingly sets off these, you know, purple and kind of maroon tones. So using that same fat brush just to stroke it into the inner corner, layer 1, and then layer 2, it's buildable, gives it that white reflect, that brightness. Oh, I can't stand you, PatMcGrath. So sick. Oh, I'm just sick that I, with my weak skills, can get such a delightful, just flipping the brush to blend, such a delightful result. Oh, if I strolled over to Lincoln Center with this makeup on, I have developed. I'll put it that way. You know, I won't say I'm great. I will say I'm a lot better than I was. PatMcGrath. And in fact, I do have some PatMcGrath blush and highlighter from the Bridgerton collection. Try to keep that in mind. But right now, let's lay down. Should we do more of this purple? Is it Epic Wear eyeliner from NYX in the shade Fierce Purple? I think that's appropriate. The caps don't stay on for shit, but, or for ish, sorry. But, you know, if you have a relatively simple beauty room setup, you can find it, but they slip right off, which is super annoying. But just stroking this, especially at the outer eye, and then the tiniest wing, just extending it a little bit, not some big crazy line, just a little bit of weight, thickening up the lash line on the outer eye. You know, like, it really is a thing, the feminine look, right? It's about playing with the planes of the face, but ultimately shrinking the face and emphasizing the more kind of feminine size parts of the face, right? The idea of long lashes, the idea of emphasis on the eye, whereas masculine presenting people can look very attractive with a different emphasis, right? A stronger brow, oh, that looks so good. I'm sorry. I'm just falling in love. I'm falling in love, especially with the idea that I can pull this off, right? If you've seen my earlier, I won't even call them tutorials, I'll say makeup experiments, I have come so far. Oh, so far. And I'm not done learning yet, but I definitely am able to do things that I love and I respect and enjoy. You know, I don't know about the tight lining. I never feel like that really adds to the look. I see everyone saying it does, and I've done it. But right here and now, I'm much more concerned about building color into the actual eyelid that kind of marries into this eye look. But, you know, I do have that lip bar palette, but Miss PatMcGrath is reminding me that she's there. She's our lady in waiting, and we do have an angled brush. And this is the Netflix collaboration Blushing Delights. Champagne Venus, Aphrodisia, Budding Romance, and Berry Brilliance. So this must be Berry Brilliance, Aphrodisia, and Budding Romance. So let's try the pink one and see what it's giving. And then there's also a highlighter. Wanting it to be high on the cheekbone and not come too far forward. Other side, high on the cheekbone, not too far forward. We don't like to drag it all the way up into the temple. I'm a fan of a pale temple, and I'm always thinking about keeping my temple pale. Tip of the brush for the top of the nose. Some in the temples. Right? Taking volume out of that forehead by reshaping it. I'm not saying this is the most expert execution, but if I hit the dance floor and sweated into this makeup and it kind of melted and some of it melted away, it would still look glorious. I think this looks spectacular. Should we use some of the highlighter? Maybe on a different brush. We do have this abomination from Sonia Kashuk. Look how much the gold came off the handle. That is just, I feel like demanding a new brush. It looks so crazy. It looks like this brush is 100 years old, and it isn't. So stroking across this little heart-shaped highlighter, getting it on the high points. Oh, it's a glisten. Can you see that? Oh, it's a glisten. A glisten, it's got gold and silver, and it does the damn thing. Oh my goodness. I think PatMcGrath has come out with some blush sticks. Am I wrong? It looks like a stick. And I don't know if you apply it to a brush. I guess you could, and I guess you could put it right to your face, but this highlighter is, I think this might be the most beautiful highlighter ever, because it's not, the combo of colors in it allows it to be a glow. It's there, but it's not if you wore this, no one could look at it and be like, oh, you're wearing highlighter right there, right? It doesn't need to be blended out, but it just goes on like kind of a sprinkling of fairy dust. I'm not just trying to kiss her ass, but I've been wearing a lot more highlighter lately, and they're not all this subtle. A lot of them look like liquid on the skin, so they're more obvious, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Makes me want to do my hair. Anyway, Pat McGrath. Oh, I would love to have every Pat McGrath. It almost makes me feel like I would throw all my other makeup away, even though I know that's not true. That's how hype I get about her makeup. Ooh, I get so hype. Whether or not that makes sense, I don't know. But just taking this little cheap brush comb combo from the dollar store with the pink polka dots, not even putting products into the brow, just stroking, back combing, and gesturing our brows up, right? That way we can learn about any gaps or product or anything in the brows and just see how far we can go by simply brushing them up. Like, I'm a fan of the brow products. I do think they look amazing. The lamination looks amazing. I don't lack brow, and at the same time, I am not a fan of, like, okay, if you can see my eyeshadow, great. But sometimes people wear so much product, just using our kabuki brush to blend the edges of our makeup. Ooh, this highlighter looks incredible. Ooh, ooh. Let's do a little bit at the outside of the eyeshadow. That took off that kind of pointy looking wing. We want it to look more subtle and a little bit more lived in, I think. Right? We don't want to brush it away. Just to give you that look of seamlessness. If it's too much product, it'll take off some of it. But I much prefer this as a way to kind of like blend all the products together than I do a damp beauty sponge. And I know people talk about damp beauty sponge all the time. I prefer to use a silicone sponge because it washes easier, and you know, add a little water if I've gotten any kind of buildup of product at the corner of the nose. I can kind of like tap and stroke that away. Revisit any kind of like buildup or texture or streaks, and just inspect. Get to a place where you're comfortable with how your makeup and your lip color look, and you know, appreciate having the time, appreciate having the product, appreciate having, you know, some choices that you can make, and in the final we can experiment with a little bit of this product. That's a lot of saturation. We may in fact ruin our makeup, but you know, for the sake of the experiment, I'm willing to do it. This is the darkest of the lip bar palettes that I have, right? We should be looking to do some contour and some, maybe some blush. There is a highlight, but it's super pink. But let's take this is the actually complexion powder. Take that onto our brush and see if we can emphasize our contour. Just wanting to be careful and subtle. right? So it gives us a little bit more, We can take that into the hairline, right? Some people do the contour that comes down the side of the face. Using a fat eyeshadow brush, right? We can take some of that same color and build upon our jaw contour. I don't dislike the color at all. I think it's reading as cool toned, right? The jury is out. Same thing from the top of the ear. Just some responsible strokes of this complexion powder. It is too deep for our complexion, but that doesn't mean we can't incorporate it into our makeup. Try to be thoughtful about symmetry, and because it's powder, you can blend it out and also take it down the cheek to just try to emphasize some other structure in the face. And it's nice because it's more subtle than doing it with liquid. Sometimes contour as underpainting is great. Sometimes it gets canceled out. Sometimes the lines dry down and look like magic marker, and then you feel like you're not cool. You definitely always want to look cool. You want your makeup to make you look better. You don't want to just look like, you know, M to the B, that you got kind of played, or that you're doing some makeup technique that's from like 2016, right? With the heavy brow. You know, I get it. People are in a hurry. I get it that people are like, oh, let me just make this line across my nose, but then it's so clockable. You can kind of see the painting by the numbers. Now that's a lot, but we can definitely blend it away. I've seen people darken the entire underside of the nose and also draw a shadow, the nose shadow on their upper lip. I can't go that far. I can take off some of the length of the nose and the volume in the tip by contouring, right? I can also re-emphasize these semicircles by the brows, right? Because that narrows the top of the bridge. And then looking at that brown line, I can take my silicone sponge and tap. It's not going to absorb, but it's going to tap that in. It's not going to change the shape of your nose, but you can get to a point where you're like, that's an appreciable amount of contour, and then by using smaller brushes. I marvel at the people who go in with the big boy brushes to do their bronzer, because then it's a lot of color on the face. I don't know. I don't look good like that. It can look muddy, and it just looks like I've lost control, right? I like the sculpt that hugs the cheekbone, and I like a little tiny slender one that kind of takes some of this buccal fat and makes it look sculpty sculpt. I can hear my neighbor outside yammering. I saw him the other night when I was coming back from grocery shopping, when I saw my friend who's having problems being stalked and photographed. I was chit-chatting with her, but I was like, guys, I gotta get in the house. But I was surprised when I saw him. He was like, oh, come here. I was like, no. I can call you on the phone, player, but this is not the hour for hanging out on the block. Nope. Right? Who's to say? You know, I get it. He's outside in a t-shirt doing whatever he's doing late at night. That doesn't make me want to be out there. If you want to see me, you know, the AM is the time. Nighttime on the block is when people do naughty things, in my opinion. What's he out there doing? Is he trying to get my attention? This is the makeup look. Ooh, love it so much, right? Should we spray it down to get some of the powderiness out of it? Or do we just let it, we live in it, right? I would do my makeup in the morning and go to work and like walk really fast, and then you get like a thin sheen of perspiration, and it would just do wonderful things for your makeup. Do you need to use every product in the world to perfect your makeup, especially with alcohols and different things? But we're going to use our blush brush. We're going to go into this deep blush color called Wing Woman. And we might mess up our makeup, but you know what? I'm ready to risk it all for you, the viewer. Yes, sir. There it is. Right? We've got that beautiful highlighter on. We don't want to cancel it out. But, you know, Miss Lip Bar really does be going hard and giving us beautiful coloration, beautiful tone. It's not the same colors as for people who are paler in complexion. But if you can carry more color, right, in tones that make sense, it's not just a deeper version of bluish pinks that won't work for your undertone. It's not just, you know, deeper orange bronzer, but bronzers that are cooler in tone that look more like the kind of shadow you would have on your face, right? This is like almost a brick red blush, and it's definitely giving us fall feels, but with an evening gown, you're not going to feel sad in this makeup. We could even take some of it into the eye socket. I was listening to someone talk about that your makeup should encompass your entire eye. It's the under part of your eye, it's the whole socket, right? Extending the eye out toward the temple, you know? That brightness in the inner corner. Lift and groom to the eye brow. Whether or not you add product is your personal choice. You know, the product sometimes, a lot of it can be so super clockable that it makes you look, it looks like makeup. It doesn't like, you want the makeup, I want the makeup that dazzles, that looks like, ooh, has she gone to the Amalfi Coast? Did she come back from Cannes? So exotic, such lifted brows, such emphasized lips. But any one of these product or product areas on their own would be a strong enough enhancement to your look, right? And if you're not happy with how much or how deep, you can always go in with your kabuki brush and blend it in, or just screen it down. Just take out some of the saturation. Just, again, it's a wear experiment. You're looking at how this stuff wears and what it gives and how much texture it gives you on the face, and how well the highlight and the inner corner shimmer show up and show out for you. Whether this is the right concealer combination and how the products marry together on the skin. I'm very happy with this. I'm happy with these two palettes. My brush assortment, I've had some casualties washing them and the bristles fell out. I'm going to try to glue them back. But I'm at the stage in my makeup doing where, you know, cleaning and maintenance is definitely creating damage. I've lost a few beauty sponges, but I'm still in the game, no worries. We're going to get into our House of Tanya live shop as well. We have some documents and whatnot to complete, but it has been my pleasure and joy getting with you here today and talking about all this delicious, beautiful makeup. When I'm on the scene, I'm going to be ready, and I'll be more educated about, you know, what the best choices are for complexion, blush, eyeshadow, and all of that, right? Is purple my jam? Am I a green girl? Am I a neutrals girl? Definitely see the girls in Atlanta rocking with a lot of neutrals, but Thank you for joining me, and I will see you next time here on House of Tanya. Thank you again. Mwah. Bye.